Big round of applause for Dr. Professor C.R. Bhandari Orishan being awarded to Dr. B.M. Makkar, sir.
The Professor Dr. C.R. Bhandari Orishan is being bestowed upon Dr. B.M. Makkar, sir. Dr. B.M. Makkar is a senior diabetes and bariatric physician and director of Dr. Makkar's Diabetes and Obesity Center at New Delhi, India. He is a fellow of Royal College of Physicians, Glasgow and Edinburgh, the American College of Physicians, American College of Endocrinology, Indian College of Physicians, Indian Academy of Medical Specialists, Diabetes India, and Research Society for the Study of Diabetes in India. His research areas of interest are diabetes, obesity, and metabolic syndrome. Dr. Makkar's Diabetes and Obesity Center is the only ESOCOM, or the European Association for Study of Obesity, accredited Center for Obesity Management in India. He is widely traveled and has a keen interest in education. He is a certified trainer in diabetes from IDC Minneapolis. Dr. Makkar has been the Indian course director for the Cleveland Clinic Certificate Course in Diabetes in India from 2010 to 2020, which was organized in collaboration with Cleveland Clinic, Ohio, USA, and for ACCD, the Advanced Certificate Course in Diabetes, organized in collaboration with the EASD from 2021 to 2023. He has been regional faculty for PHFI, CCEPDM and CCGDM courses in India. He has been decorated with many awards and orations, including Professor K.L. Vig Oration, the API Delhi chapter, KRSSDI Oration, UPDA Oration, Professor M. Vishwanathan Oration, to name a few. He has a number of publications, including chapters on diabetes and obesity in books, and has played an instrumental role in formulation of the first Indian guidelines for management of obesity and also the first RSSDI consensus on type 2 diabetes management in India and RSSDI consensus on blood glucose monitoring. Dr. Makkar is a member by special invitation to the ADA, member of the ACE, EASD, EASO and Canadian Obesity Research Network. He was also a member of other international reputed committees, and he has actively involved with diabetes and obesity societies and has served RSSDI for more than a decade as an EC member, treasurer, honorary secretary of RSSDI 2017 to 2019, president-elect 2022 and president 2023. He has also served RSSDI in the past as treasurer, honorary secretary and chairman of the RSSDI Delhi chapter. Dr. Makkar is currently honorary secretary of IRO and a member of the executive board of Diabetes India. With great humility and pride at the same time, the Dr. Professor C.R. Bhandari Oration is being bestowed upon our beloved and respected Dr. B.M. Makkar, sir.
Good afternoon, friends, respected chairpersons. My special thanks to Dr. Karmal Swami and Abhishek, and also Dr. Bhumi for reading out my citation so elaborately and so nicely. Thank you so much. It's truly, a great honor. At the same time, it is very humbling to receive this oration here, and I am once again thankful to the team RSSDI Madhya Pradesh chapter for this great honor. So my topic is focus on ABCD to prevent type 2 diabetes. I don't have any disclosure for this presentation. You all know we have a huge burden of diabetes globally, and so is the case in India. We have 1 in 10 adults living with diabetes, 1 in 9 adults living with IGT, 1 in 18 adults living with impaired fasting glucose, and almost 6.7 million deaths annually. Now, important thing is when we look at pre-diabetes, this is US data, there are 90 million people living with pre-diabetes, and 80% of those people don't even know that they have pre-diabetes. And important thing is, if you know that you have pre-diabetes, losing weight by lifestyle interventions can cut down the risk of getting diabetes into half. So it is very important to diagnose pre-diabetes also early in the course of disease. I must put on record my thanks for Dr. Mohan and ICMR for sharing these slides from the ICMR INDAP 17 study, which showed that we have much higher burden of diabetes as was shown by the IDF Atlas. We have currently more than 101 million people living with diabetes in India. And urban population is higher prevalence as compared to rural population. Now there is another important revealing data, that is we have much higher prevalence of pre-diabetes, which is 136 million, and these are the people who are waiting to get into diabetes. So pre-diabetes not only leads to increased risk of developing diabetes, it also leads to increased risk of complications such as atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, heart failure, CKD, and so on. So pre-diabetes is more than a glucose cutoff and threshold, and it is actually an earlier stage of future cardiometabolic disorder where we should intervene with some degree, and if we intervene at this stage, we can have some degree of reversibility. Now these are the predisposing factors or risk factors for pre-diabetes. There are two important risk factors here which are reversible, which are modifiable risk factors. All other factors are non-modifiable factors. So it is very important to focus on the modifiable factors which are overweight and obesity and decreased physical activity. Now ICMR INDAP 17 also showed that we have a huge burden of obesity. Almost 30% of the adult population living in India has obesity, and almost 40% of the population has central obesity, and both are key drivers for increasing prevalence of obesity. Now we know obesity is possibly mother of all important diseases of adult life, but its relationship with type 2 diabetes is most striking. And it is the risk of type 2 diabetes that is greatly increased by increasing BMI, and we know this data for almost 40 years now. We have studies which have shown that as the BMI goes up, there is an increase in the prevalence of type 2 diabetes. There are also studies which have shown that as the prevalence of BMI starts going up, as the BMI rises in a population, there is a parallel rise in the prevalence of type 2 diabetes. And this large data has been shown from Australia, where if you look at this 20 years follow-up data between 1980 and 2000, as the prevalence of obesity increased, so was the increase in prevalence of diabetes. Similarly, this is a slide which is showing you increasing prevalence across North America over 2 decades. And if you see carefully, the areas which had increased prevalence of obesity, there was parallel increase in the prevalence of diabetes. So type 2 diabetes and obesity are closely related, and we know obesity is defined as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that impairs health. But the important thing is the fat is very difficult to measure. There is no clear cutoff. It is a continuum rather than a normal or abnormal line, and it is very difficult to measure it directly. So obesity is usually measured as weight and not as fat, and we use the surrogate measures like body mass index, waist circumference, and waist hip ratio to measure obesity. But obesity is now clearly known that it is not just weight, it is ABCD. And this is the new term for obesity. ABCD means adiposity-based chronic disease. I have chosen this title that focus on ABCD because one, we have to understand that obesity is adiposity. Second, if we focus on obesity, actually it is focusing on the basics or ABCD of management of diabetes. So this is